Yeah, hi. Alrighty, just a short video about this. So, when I uploaded that video of Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair and why it shouldn't main event, I didn't know that eventually, because I record that on the Sunday, the same day as Fastlane. I didn't know that days later, that literally, that trend of Sasha or main event Banks versus Belair was gonna happen. You know what I mean? And ironically, I had that video to upload, which I decided to switch to that day to upload. But the fact that literally fans are just really smarky fans are clamoring for Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair is a fucking joke. Let's be fucking honest here. Like, have you guys lost your fucking mind? Have you guys not seen what happened at WrestleMania 35? The main event was a botch-filled mess. And again, no one really cares about women's goddamn wrestling. For people that think that, Sasha and Bianca, they're two black women or whatever, they're biracial, who cares? But they're being billed as two black women and shit like that. They're women of color that should main event WrestleMania just because they're women of color and they're women, which is retarded. Do you guys not know what, first of all, no one fucking really knows who the fuck Sasha Banks is. Aside from these wrestling fans, these smarky wrestling fans, and not just that, or people who happen to know who Snoop Dogg is, people who are fans of Snoop Dogg, and happen to know that that's his cousin and shit like that, and for some people who are weirdly jerk off to Snoop Dogg's cousin, because, they probably have some weird fluctuations of Snoop Dogg and shit like that, because that's how, people weird are. Let's be honest here. Sasha Banks is not a star. No one really knows who the fuck Sasha Banks is. Alright? They only know her just because she happens to be related to Snoop Dogg or only just the fans who watch wrestling. That is literally it. No normal person would know who fuck Sasha is. That is the fucking truth. And Bianca Belair, she literally just debuted this past fucking year. No one knows the fuck she is. Her character is that she has a fucking weave that she twirls around like, yeah, man. And she acts like, the typical black women like, yeah, I go Shakisha your ass. Yeah, that's right. I got my weave up and shit. And well, fucking go Shakisha your ass. That's right. Like, that's her fucking character, apparently. And no one fucking cares. It doesn't help that these women are not attractive. I'm sorry. Women's wrestling used to be about women looking attractive. They used to look hot. They used to fucking actually be, that's what happened back then. And that's what people cared about. No one literally cares about women's goddamn wrestling. How many fucking times do I have to fucking tell you? No one cares. I'm sorry if it sounds sexist, but it's the fucking truth. The reality is wrestling has always been a male-dominant brand. People always care about women's fucking wrestling for, the only reason why people care about women's wrestling is because if they look hot and shit like that. They may be great wrestlers, but the reality is if you don't look like a woman, you don't look hot, no one's gonna fucking care. For fuck's sakes. Stop fucking making people, spreading this whole false narrative that, people give a fuck about women's goddamn wrestling, they should main event. They shouldn't. Again, did you not see what happened in the main event of WrestleMania 35? It was a fucking joke. And for God's sakes, the night after WrestleMania, Raw got one of the lowest Raw after Mania ratings ever. So why should they main event? For God's sakes. It's a joke. It's retarded. And the story is that they're feuding over the fucking short gay black dude. And not only that, there's really no story beside that. You know what I mean? Why should we care about them fucking main eventing WrestleMania? It's a joke. That's retarded. Again, no one cares about women's goddamn wrestling. It's not being sexist. It's the truth. For God's sakes, you're going to kill your company like this. When you started this whole women's main event, the fact that you're pushing this whole narrative about give divas a chance for women's revolution, that's what made people stop watching wrestling, people. That's why a lot of viewers don't watch wrestling anymore, because this whole narrative that you're trying to push to women as big time. It's retarded. Especially when it doesn't help the fact that this whole 4 horsemen crap, like how do women look like She-Hulks and shit like that, how they don't look like women and shit like that. We gotta push Sasha Banks, we gotta push Bayley, we gotta push Ric Flair Jr., we gotta push Becky Lynch, for God's sakes. Stop it. You're gonna kill your company like this. You already kind of killed it with the fucking Raw after WrestleMania 35. I mean, wrestling's been dead for a long time, but what made this shit deader than dead is this whole women's main event. You're gonna kill your company. Stop trying to fucking make the. And I hate you fucking fans are the worst. The fact that these fans are on Twitter and tweeting that's how this should main event, you're a fucking bunch of cucks and faggots. Only cucks and faggots are pretending to care about this match. That's why. Or they're trying to white knight to women. That's why. They're trying to white knight to the point that, they're trying to look good, they're trying to get laid or shit. Like, that's why. That's the only fans that are fucking clamoring for this shit. So they can look like, I care about women's wrestling, see? I don't fucking pretend that shit. I don't do that crap because I'm not fucking white knight, okay? All these... Again, this match, that people claim that this match should happen at WrestleMania is just a bunch of SJW snowflakes that think that, trying to get laid. They're just fucking these white knight, neckbearded, mongoloid smarks. They can't get laid, and they think this is a way to get laid. It's retarded. No woman's gonna want to fuck you, especially with this whole, Sasha Banks, she got the fucking blue hair, feminist look and shit like that. Like, don't get me wrong, back in the day, Sasha didn't look that ugly and shit like that, but I'm not a fan of the whole stupid, colorful hair, you know what I mean? And plus, the reality is, like, come on, sometimes she looks, weird and shit like that. And let's be honest, that hair is a weave. I'm not a fan of that, okay? And Bianca Belair, I'm not really attracted to. I'm sorry, like, it's not supposed to be, discriminating or fucking sexist, but it's the truth. No one fucking, they're not a Trish or Lita, okay? The reason why people gave a fuck about Trish and Lita back then, let's be honest here, because they looked hot. That is why. No one cared because they're women. The reason why fucking, or fucking their story. Sure, there was a story involved with Trish and Lita, but they also looked hot as fuck. They don't look hot as fuck. Why should people care? And again, the reality is, no one will, like, for God's sakes, the fact they're on SmackDown, and when you sometimes start the show with them at opening the show or main event the show, do you not see why the ratings are down? For God's sake, SmackDown ratings and fucking wrestling ratings in general, like Raw and SmackDown shit, like when the women are on, no one fucking cares. You get the least ratings possible. Can you stop pretending that people give a fuck? They don't. People don't give a fuck. The fact is, people only give a shit about hotness. Sex sells. Look at Eva Marie's fucking wardrobe malfunction a few years ago. That gets more ratings than this. And whatever they dream of, for God's sake. It's the fucking truth. It's fucking pathetic. And you know what's fucking sad? The only reason why this was trending is because of black Twitter. Because they're black, apparently, even though they're, like, biracial. But it's trending because of black Twitter. If you guys don't know what black Twitter is, basically, it's this thing where, like, Twitter, a bunch of fucking black people and shit like that, they kind of, like, yo, man, we got this guy made event because they black and shit, yo. Black Twitter, yo. Fuck yeah. That's why. Because apparently black Twitter is a thing, or black media. You got, like, this whole section for, like, people who are, of color. They kind of talk about how this should main event, or this should be a thing. For example, if you wonder why fucking Popeye's chicken sandwich got trending and shit like that, why people went crazy for that, because, like, things like black Twitter. That is why. And among other things, why people go crazy for certain things, because of black fucking Twitter. Apparently, yeah, that's a thing, and that's like because black Twitter went up. That's why people think this should main event, which is retarded. Again, this should not mean event. Fuck Sasha versus Bianca. It's fucking pathetic. That's a joke. Again, literally, Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre should main event, and I'm going to say why. Bobby Lashley, he is a person of color, but the difference is people actually give a fuck about Bobby Lashley. When you see his title win against The Miz, it actually trended. It trended. It had a lot of views for WWE. One of the biggest views for their YouTube channel in a long time. Bobby Lashley, who's actually a good wrestler. The guy's a badass. The guy looks like a wrestler, acts like a wrestler. He's not Lesnar, but he is something close to it. He's a former UFC, he's an MMA guy. The guy was in the army and shit like that. He's an amateur wrestler apparently also. The guy is one of the best things you have going in currently in WWE. I get it that McIntyre and Lashley happened before. It happened like Backlash last year. But if you think about it, that match was actually not bad. The match was actually pretty good. And I wouldn't mind seeing this again. But if you maybe add like a stipulation, like no disqualifications, that would be a great main event for WrestleMania 37 Night 1. The only reason why people think this should main event, like the fucking Sasha, because that's like, they're already, both matches are announced for Night 1. But that's retarded. Like, because again, no one fucking cares about women's goddamn wrestling. Okay, so fuck that. I do think Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre should main event WrestleMania, because, like or not, there is actually a story unlike the match. Bobby Lashley caused Drew McIntyre his title lost. The reason why The Miz won the title. Lashley's now champion. Now this leads to fucking McIntyre versus Lashley. McIntyre has improved, by the way. I am not a big McIntyre fan, but I like him more than I did last year. I know I hated him last year, but at least, he's established himself to be a main eventer, even though it's, retarded. He's a jobber, and then he won out of nowhere to Rumble. I thought that was still retarded. But at least, it makes sense now, I guess. Why not have him in the main event? He already beat Lesnar last year. Why not? The guy should be in the main event, you know what I mean? And especially since you're doing 2-night WrestleManias, the 2 world title matches should main event WrestleMania. The WWE title, that is the fucking WWE title, by the way. That built this company. The fact that it will be shoved down to the women is retarded. You have to have that main event. And yeah, Edge versus Roman, they're going to probably add fucking Bryan, unfortunately, but I'd rather take that. If just do it, just do it, or fucking... Apparently, there's a rumor they might do Edge versus Bryan the first night, and the main event will be the winner faces Roman. Should be Edge. But I was retarded what they're doing. They're making it seem like they're doing the same shit what they did with WrestleMania 30. It's retarded, but whatever. As long as if it works out that Edge wins or Roman, I would like Edge win more at WrestleMania Night 2, and then if they actually have Lashley main event WrestleMania Night 1, that'll be good. But again, why Lashley versus fucking McIntyre should make sense. Especially, these fucking fans that claim you deserve it, the women deserve it. No, they don't, okay? First of all, no one deserves anything. If you actually fucking make people watch, if you're making people actually watch this show, and you actually fucking, have something to offer, and people actually give a fuck, then yeah, you should main event WrestleMania. It shouldn't be like, oh, you deserve it because you worked hard and shit like that. Motherfuckers, everybody work hard in professional wrestling, okay? It's not an easy job. But for God's, yes, it sucks, but it's not an easy job, right? It's an entertainment business. If you're the most making money guy in the company, then you should main event. The fact is, McIntyre and fucking Bobby Lashley should main event because, again, people actually give a fuck. They get more views than fucking women. People actually fucking give a fuck about their feud somewhat. They should main event WrestleMania. Okay? Especially Bobby Lashley. You guys like to talk about how they deserve it. They work so hard. Lashley's been in the company for 16 years. McIntyre been there for a long time too, and it's been last year he got a shot. Wouldn't it make sense? They fucking fused in with your analogy, not the women. They've only been there for a few years, and for God's sakes, it doesn't make any sense. Again, they're not big stars enough to be main eventing. I'm sorry. Okay? It's not sexist. It's not being fucking bigoted. It's the truth. For God's sakes. And for God's sake, you guys claim about race. Lashley's black. Why shouldn't he not main event? But it's because he's not women? For God's sakes, fuck off. Bunch of fucking white knight cucks and faggots, I tell ya. So yeah, Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre should main event. I think that match should be the main event WrestleMania Night 1. Make that no disqualifications. Especially people say oh, it wouldn't be good as Lesnar. Because you guys gotta know, Lesnar's probably done with the wrestling business. You know what I mean? He's probably tired. You want to retire and shit like that. And good for him. He put over a star his last WrestleMania, his last match. You have to admire that. And fucking Brock Lesnar loves this business. You know what I mean? So you gotta admire him for that. He actually does. Apparently, I hate Daniel Bryan, but apparently if he can say that Brock Lesnar loves this business, then good on Daniel Bryan for pointing that out. The reality is fucking Lashley versus McIntyre should main event. The women should not main event for no reason, just because they're women, just because they're black, and just because, just all stupid shit, because it makes no sense. It's not like they make the most money. Oh, but they won Royal Rumble. Who cares? The women should not even have the Royal Rumble, because no one fucking cares about the women. I'm sorry, they don't. No one cares. It's just retarded. They're trying to make women equal, but reality, they will never be equal at all, okay? I don't hate women. I love women. I like fucking women in theory. For God's sakes, making them bitches go, oh shit, with a Coca-Cola wine glass, any cola, any soda, so magnificently, you know what I mean? Because that's what I do. I'm Zubair and shit like that, Pour it in a stylish glass, wine glass, make the bitches go, oh shit, cheers. But the reality is that's the fucking truth, okay? Don't have the women main event, because they're going to kill your company like that. Look at the ratings. They don't draw ratings. I'm sorry. And Sasha Big Star, fucking big star, because no one holds Bianca Belair's. We need fucking Lashley, main event Lashley. We need them to main event Lashley versus McIntyre. And yeah, it is what it is, okay? Till next time, guys. Peace. Yeah, bye. And fuck Black Twitter and fuck this whole white knight smart shit, okay?